Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast, and during this last week we dealt with the very hot temperatures set in across the central United States and dew point temperatures well into the upper 60s to the mid 70s depending on location. So heat index values were consistently in the 95 to 105 range for the vast majority of this week till we got into Friday with the cold front that moved out of the Dakota slipping through northern Nebraska and starting to slide southward. Brought some heavy precipitation to southern portions of South Dakota and northern Nebraska, and that front presently is moving its way southward through the state, although it is beginning to wash out. So before we get to the main forecast, with this recent precipitation events, we thought it would be a good idea to bring you up to date on the latest drought monitor. And as we go to the latest drought monitor, I'll draw your attention to the southwest. This has been the persistent area of dryness that we have seen consistently move from the southern plains and build back westward over the last 4 to 5 months and intensify. We do have exceptional to extraordinary drought in this region, showing improvements in the central United States, although some of this is probably overdone. Simply, we had such heavy precipitation events in short time periods, plus we still are carrying 3 to 6 inch deficits over south central Nebraska. So there's probably a longer term drought signal here that's not showing, and a couple of the weeks of below normal precipitation will really start to show its ugly head in terms of the crop response to the lack of moisture. So for today, the upper air pattern has the main jet stream pattern flowing along the Canadian border, and that is expected to slowly change into a trough over the eastern United States. At the surface, we have a low pressure system over north central South Dakota and over southern Kansas. The front that is coming through is depicted to produce some scattered thunderstorm activity across the southeast. I think that's a little bit overplayed, but as we go into tomorrow, start to see this defining trough taking place to the north of us, starting to carve out. High pressure trying to build in. Low pressure to our south will actually focus the convergence zone as the secondary cold front starts to move toward the southeast. So we do see some precipitation for western Nebraska, but on Monday, as we see the upper air trough starting to lay a foundation of a pretty significant trough over the Great Lakes, high pressure will continue to push southward, and that will bring the cold front through eastern Nebraska with some monsoon flow over western Nebraska. It looks like some decent chances of precipitation, although scattered in nature, just to the east of Nebraska. So we go into Tuesday, a secondary wave in the upper atmosphere will start to pass through the state, surface low in the Dakotas and one to our south, while to converge moisture into our region, starting off with thunderstorm activity in the western portion of the state, and then that will gradually shift toward the east as we go into Wednesday with that upper air trough starting to make its way toward north central Iowa. Surface low pressure over southeastern Kansas will help to feed the Gulf moisture up into our region, and there's a fairly decent shot of precipitation over Nebraska. This may be a little bit farther north than currently depicted, but right now it looks like a decent shot of moisture. And then we see some pretty significant trough carving itself over the Great Lakes, bringing in cooler than normal conditions across much of the eastern United States, with surface and high pressure moving in from the Canary Prairie Province regions into our region. We'll see thunderstorm activity developing in portions of the central Corn Belt, and then a very steep trough building across the eastern United States as we get into Friday. Very cool conditions to our east with a warming trend to our region. In terms of precipitation, we are probably looking at most of the significant moisture isolated over the Great Lakes region, with a drier pattern establishing itself to the east. So we are going to gradually stay cooler than normal through the end of next week before a warming trend continues. If we look at 8 to 14 day forecast from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, we see the cooler than normal conditions followed by drier than normal conditions that look to be consistent through the remainder of the month.